All right, friends, hey, thanks for joining in today. I'll show you how to put an edge on a knife, or at least how we do it. I've used a few different systems, and I got interested in this one. I saw it, popped up in my Facebook feed. And there's a company that sells them, and I'm not going to mention their name because I don't know that I can. What I'm going to say is not super flattering. But I was all ready one evening to pull the trigger and purchase it from them. This looked like a good system. There are other systems out there that cost anywhere from $400 to $1,000. I didn't want those. And this was like a pretty good deal. It was, I think, on sale with the stones, the extra stones. I think it was maybe $150. And so I'm like, okay. And I've been watching it, and that was down from whatever it would cost. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. Well, I get curious and I jump onto Amazon. You guys know Amazon. And man, guess what I found? I found this sharpener that looked exactly the same. It's $44. I think it was on sale. Maybe it was $50. It was cheap. And I'm like, it can't possibly be the same thing. I'm sure this is just some, knockoff, not worth the money. And so then I looked back at the other company, and the one that they were advertising was the exact same brand and model. And they were selling it for 3 times more with their name and their great videos and all of that. Point being, you don't need to spend that much. So what I want to take you through today is my process for creating my final edge on our blades. This is the same thing that I do if I need to recreate an edge or touch up an edge on something. Hey, the big thing is just make sure that you are giving yourself some time. Patience is one of the big keys here. And I'm also going to include some links so that you can order the same thing that I did and hopefully get those great deals. All right, so the kit itself came with the sharpener. It also came with some whetstones. I think the whetstones are a little trashy, so I haven't even used them. I did use it once. They're very soft, come apart very easily. So what I did is I went ahead and purchased, and I'll put a link for this as well, I went ahead and purchased a diamond stone or diamond file kit. The quality I'm sure could be improved, but you know what, they work. And so when these wear out, I'll upgrade. But total setup, total investment here, it's probably off the top of my head, I'm just gonna say about $70. I think it was less than that, but let's say $70. Very reasonable compared to what people are selling out there in some other systems. And that's not to say those systems aren't better. There's going to be people that argue about precision and all of that. This makes a wicked sharp edge, all right? I'll tell you that. I mean, you guys saw the evidence here, and I put that edge on this new cleaver last night. And so away we go. Let's talk about how we do this. So number one, I've already addressed and I have a basic edge on there. So if you are making knives, I definitely don't do the hard lifting on this, the hard work or material removal, stock removal. All of the edge has been created, beveled on the belt grinder. I do my final approach with a Trizac belt. And I just take it down to where I feel a little burr. So this is sharp. It might cut paper, it's gonna snag and catch though. So really what we're doing here is we're refining the edge and shaping it, and then we're honing it and making it nice and smooth, creating burrs along the way, and so we can talk about that a little bit. All right, so first thing, setup. This is where I would typically use my phone. Just realized I don't have it available. So here's what we're gonna do, because the geometries are gonna be very similar. And so I'm gonna go back and to rework that. Interesting. What we do is, first off, This is at 15 degrees, all right, coming out of this. And it may not be perfectly level on the table, but from a factory standpoint, it's 15 degrees. So what I want is I want to create a 5-degree differential here, and that's going to give me a 20-degree angle on my blade. Now, I use a 20-degree angle, and the reason I use that is because number one, it does create a really sharp edge, but number two, it also gives a balance of durability. And you know, I've with my hunting knife, I've dressed an entire elk with a single knife, no sharpening. The knives in the kitchen that I prep for my wife, she's a professional chef. The knives that I prep for her and her team, I also use the 20-degree angle. They are the sharpest, best knives and longest lasting edge knives in her repertoire, all right? So I like it. You can go shallower for sure if you want to create more sharpness. You can go a little thicker depending on your ability, or a little bit more obtuse if you want that angle to be or edge to last longer, but that is up to you. All right. All right, so if you are starting with a new edge, we want to start with our highest grit. For me in this kit, that is 100 grit diamond. There is an 80 grit in here. Honestly, that is one that I would upgrade. It's just too sparse, so too much space in there. I don't like how it glides across the edge, as in it doesn't glide across the edge. I don't use it. I'm not interested in ruining my edge, so I want something that's going to glide well. This is kind of nostalgic for me, but that's my dad's old honing oil, and so I use that now. I'm sure someday that'll run out, but I usually like to start with a couple of just smooth passes across. Use a couple of different techniques as we go through here. I'm not applying a lot of downward pressure, just really resting my hand, just trying to be smooth, all right? So that's the first thing I'm doing, just trying to take out maybe any rough bumps. And then here's what I'm gonna do at this finer grit, is I'm just going to make small circular passes. Now, you have to be careful on this, because if you're directing the guide, you have a tendency to tilt, right? Depending on how you're moving it. I'm working to keep it very smooth, and I have a very light, or very flat, and I have a very light hold on it. You can also move through here, and I'll use both techniques at some point. All right? Now, people often wonder, how much do I hone? How far do I go with that? And really what we're working on here is trying to get a burr. So I've got a little burr that I can feel right here, and I don't have really anywhere else. That means I've got some material to take off. So I'm just gonna go to work, keep you in the background, and probably speed through this as we go, all right?
I always fetch a few passes.
Just to smooth things out. When I felt just a second ago, I could feel that burr starting to take place or take hold across the blade. I really do go by feel at this first stage. Keep a rough count of how many passes I make. I also do recommend always wearing shoes when you turn this over. That is always something I'm a little aware of. If it happened to slip out, don't want it to land on my bare toes. And then we go to work on the other side. All right, so we got a nice bevel going on that side as well, nice burr. Rotate back again. I'm just gonna make 2 light passes. And I'm only doing that because I just wanted to take a second to show you that even though we've only gone to this base level right now, it's still capable of creating a very sharp edge, right? So truly, like for a functional knife, you could stop right here, but the fun comes when we start to refine that edge down. So we're gonna keep everything the same, and what I'm gonna now do is progress through my different stones, going from 400 to 500, 600, 800, 1000, 1500, 2000, and this last guy that I have is a 3000 grit diamond stone. When I'm finished with that, I'm going to take out my honing strap. I have some magic dust on there, and I'm going to hone the final edge. So, you know, if we break the sharpening process down, really what it comes down to is shaping and developing the edge, which is really about getting your angles correct, and then creating that burr on the underside of the blade. And then we flip it over, we polish that burr off. Now, as we get to the higher grits, we're gonna create less burr, we're pushing less metal, but we're still creating a little bit of a burr, and that is where the honing strap, or even a steel, comes into place. What you're doing is you are taking that edge and taking that final bit of burr and you're polishing it off so that hopefully all you're left with is, or are, the 2 edge bevels. They're gonna make a nice, smooth, clean cut. How do we know it's smooth and clean? When we go through a thin piece of paper, and I use, I think there's a little good, number 1, mojo going on if I'm using the Idaho Big Game rules for 2023. Hoping to bring me some good luck here in a couple months. But number 2, it's also light paper. It's easier to cut thick paper. And so we've got light newspaper that I'm cutting through. And really, you know, when it comes down to it, what we're trying to do is we want to move through that piece of paper, and we should be able to move slow, and it should be able to cut effortlessly. And you'll notice if you have a burr at all, you'll notice that it will catch and it will tear in that moment. Should be able to cut at different paces as well. And so if we take this, hopefully this can work for me, and I should be able to go and cut straight through with speed and also have a clean cut. All right. Hey guys, we're going to start right there. And if you have any questions, please drop them below. Be sure to check out the links. Save yourself some money. Get a great setup. I cannot say enough. I sharpened quite a few knives, and this is held up well, but also producing great results. So, hey, have a great day. Talk soon.